You know what's wild? Right now, while you're reading these words, there are millions of people around the world sleeping, and something absolutely extraordinary is happening to them. Something that science can't fully explain, and that most people will dismiss as just a dream when they wake up. But here's the controversial truth that's going to shake everything you thought you knew. Those aren't just dreams. The spirits of people who have passed away are actively trying to communicate with you every single night. And most of us are completely missing the messages because nobody ever taught us how to recognize them. I'm going to tell you something that might sound crazy at first, but stay with me. Death doesn't end relationships. It just changes the way we communicate. And your loved ones on the other side are literally waiting for you to fall asleep so they can finally reach you. Chico Xavier, one of Brazil's most respected spiritual mediums, who psychographed over 450 books and brought comfort to thousands of families, spent his entire life proving one revolutionary idea. Spiritual dreams are real encounters, not illusions created by grief. And tonight, after you finish this video, your entire relationship with sleep is going to transform forever. You're going to learn exactly how to recognize when a departed loved one is visiting you, what they're trying to tell you, and most importantly, how to prepare yourself before bed to make these sacred reunions clearer, more meaningful, and more frequent. But I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this information is too important to miss, and the YouTube algorithm needs to know that people want to hear these truths. Drop a comment telling me if you've ever had a dream that felt way too real to be just a dream. And smash that like button if you're ready to discover what the spiritual world has been trying to tell you all along. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at your dreams the same way again. There's a magical moment that happens every single night with each one of us, but most people simply don't realize it. While your body rests on the pillow and your breathing becomes soft and rhythmic, something profound is happening behind the curtains of existence. Your soul, that divine spark living inside your physical body, slowly begins to loosen the ties that keep it bound to matter. It's like being held by invisible ropes during the day, and at night those ropes loosen up a bit, allowing your soul to float toward dimensions that physical eyes could never reach. This phenomenon isn't fiction, it's not fantasy. It's a spiritual reality documented by mediums, scholars, and ordinary people all around the world. During deep sleep, especially in the quietest hours before dawn, consciousness partially disconnects from the physical brain and gains wings to fly free. Spiritual dreams aren't random products of a tired mind or the result of that pizza you ate before bed. They're real experiences, lived by the soul in another dimension of existence, where time and space work completely differently. When you dream you're talking with your grandmother who passed away, feeling the warmth of her embrace, hearing her familiar voice with a clarity that's impossible to describe. That's not just a dream. It's a true spiritual reunion, allowed and orchestrated by higher forces that understand the human heart's need to reconnect with those we love. These moments are divine gifts, bridges built between two worlds that seem so far apart, but are actually separated only by a thin curtain of energetic vibration. But what did Chico Xavier, one of the greatest mediums Brazil has ever known, have to say about all of this? What did he know about these reunions that science still can't fully explain? The answer is going to surprise you. Chico Xavier wasn't just any medium. He was a bridge between worlds, a man who dedicated his entire life to proving that death is nothing more than a change of address. For over 7 decades, he psychographed more than 450 books, brought comfort to thousands of grieving families, and consistently delivered the same message: those we love never truly leave us. When it came to spiritual dreams, Chico was crystal clear and unwavering in his statements. He affirmed with absolute conviction that these nighttime encounters aren't illusions created by our desperate minds trying to cope with loss. They're real, legitimate meetings that happen in the spiritual plane, authorized and supervised by divine laws that govern the universe. According to him, nothing in the spiritual realm happens by chance. Every reunion, every embrace, every word exchanged in those dreams has a purpose and occurs with heavenly permission. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Chico explained that these spiritual visits aren't one-way streets where only the living benefit. The spirits of our loved ones also need these encounters, just as much as we do. They carry their own saudade, their own longing to see us, to know we're okay, to offer guidance when we're lost. Chico would often say that the spiritual world is far more aware of our daily struggles than we could ever imagine. Our departed loved ones watch over us, celebrate our victories, and worry about our pain. And when divine mercy allows it, they descend through the dimensions during our sleep to deliver messages of hope, warnings about dangers ahead, or simply to wrap us in the comfort of their eternal love. But if these visits are so real and so important, why don't we remember all of them when we wake up? And how can we prepare ourselves to receive these sacred encounters more consciously? The answers lie in something surprisingly simple that most people completely overlook. These nighttime reunions aren't random social visits from the other side. They serve very specific and profound purposes that can transform our lives if we pay attention. The first and most common function is consolation. When grief becomes too heavy, when the weight of loss feels unbearable and threatens to crush our spirit, the spiritual world mobilizes to bring relief. A departed mother appears in her daughter's dream not to show off that she still exists, but to dry tears that won't stop flowing. A grandfather visits his grandson to remind him that love doesn't end with the last breath. It transforms, it elevates, it becomes eternal. These consoling visits carry an energy so pure and powerful that many people wake up feeling an inexplicable peace, as if someone had literally lifted a boulder off their chest during the night. But spiritual dreams go far beyond comfort. They also serve to guide, warn, and even request our help. Sometimes a loved one appears with a worried expression, pointing to a path we shouldn't take or alerting us about a person who doesn't have good intentions. Other times, they come with a humble request that echoes through our hearts. Pray for me. Many people don't realize that our prayers are like ropes of light thrown into the spiritual dimension, pulling our loved ones toward higher, brighter places. Some spirits are stuck in zones of suffering, trapped by guilt, regrets, or attachments they couldn't release before dying. When we pray with sincere love, we send them energy, strength, and hope. We become their lifeline back to peace. But there's something we need to do before falling asleep to make these encounters not only possible, but also clearer and more meaningful. And this preparation is so simple that you'll wonder why nobody talks about it more often. Here's a truth that might sound too simple to be powerful, but it absolutely is. The state of your mind and heart before you fall asleep determines the quality of your spiritual experiences during the night. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you go to bed with your mind cluttered with anger, resentment, fear, or obsessing over tomorrow's problems, you're essentially tuning into static noise. Your spiritual frequency becomes so dense and chaotic that higher spirits can't reach you, and the encounters that do happen remain foggy and forgettable. But when you take just a few minutes before sleep to pray, to genuinely connect with gratitude and love, something miraculous happens. Your energetic vibration begins to rise. The spiritual atmosphere around you clears up like fog lifting from a mountain, and you create a luminous pathway for elevated spirits to approach you safely. Prayer before sleep isn't about reciting mechanical words or following rigid religious scripts. It's about intention and heart. It can be as simple as saying, "Thank you for this day. Please protect me and allow me to meet those I love if it's meant to be." When you pray with sincerity, you're not just talking to the universe. You're actively raising your spiritual frequency and announcing to the invisible realms that you're open, receptive, and ready for divine guidance. Chico Xavier always emphasized this preparation as essential, not optional. He'd say that spirits of light don't force their way into heavy, negative environments. They wait for an invitation, for a crack of light in the darkness. Your prayer is that invitation, that crack of light. But prayer alone isn't enough. There's another force, another invisible bridge that connects the living and the dead with surprising power, and it's something you already carry inside your heart every single day. Saudade, that deep, aching longing for someone who's no longer physically here, isn't just an emotion. It's actually a spiritual technology, a vibrational frequency that works like a homing beacon across dimensions. When you think about someone you lost with genuine love, when that bittersweet feeling fills your chest, and brings tears to your eyes. You're not just remembering them, you're actively calling them. That wave of emotion travels through the spiritual planes like ripples on water, reaching the consciousness of your loved one wherever they are. And here's what most people don't understand. They feel it too. Your sod aid creates a magnetic pull, a luminous thread connecting two hearts that beat in different worlds. The spiritual realm responds to love with extraordinary sensitivity, and sincere longing acts as a direct line of communication that transcends death itself. This is why so many people report dreaming about a loved one right after spending the day thinking about them, looking at old photos, or visiting their grave. It's not coincidence. It's cause and effect on a spiritual level. Your focused remembrance, charged with emotion and love, essentially sends out an invitation that the spiritual world honors whenever possible. But there's a crucial detail here that changes everything. The quality of your sod aid matters immensely. If your longing is mixed with guilt, anger, or desperate attachment that refuses to accept their transition, it creates turbulence in the spiritual connection, like trying to have a phone conversation during a storm. But when your sod aid is pure, accepting, and filled with gratitude for the time you had together, it becomes a crystal-clear channel through which beautiful reunions can happen. Yet how do you know when a dream is truly a spiritual visit, and not just your mind playing tricks on you? There are unmistakable signs that separate the real encounters from ordinary dreams, and once you learn them, you'll never confuse the two again. If you've ever had a dream so vivid, so emotionally intense that you woke up absolutely certain it wasn't just a dream, you already know exactly what we're talking about. Ordinary dreams are like watching a movie with blurry scenes that jump around randomly, where your dead grandmother is suddenly also your third-grade teacher, and you're flying through a grocery store riding a purple elephant. None of it makes sense, and within minutes of waking up, most of it evaporates from your memory like morning fog. But spiritual dreams are completely different. They have a weight to them, a realness that feels more solid than your actual waking life. The colors are sharper, the emotions are deeper, and most importantly, there's a coherence and clarity that ordinary dreams simply don't possess. You remember every detail, what they wore, what they said, how their voice sounded, the exact expression on their face, and these memories don't fade with time. They stay embedded in your heart like precious photographs that never yellow. The emotional signature of a true spiritual encounter is unmistakable and impossible to fake. When you wake up from a genuine visit, you don't feel confused or disoriented. You feel profoundly moved, often to tears, but not sad tears. There's a sense of peace, comfort, and certainty that washes over you, even if the dream contained difficult messages or warnings. Many people describe feeling a warmth in their chest, a tingling sensation, or even a lingering presence in the room for a few moments after opening their eyes. Your rational mind might try to dismiss it as just a dream, but something deeper inside you knows better. Your soul recognizes the authenticity of what just happened. These encounters leave energetic imprints that can affect your mood and perspective for days or even weeks afterward. But spiritual dreams don't always come in clear, literal conversations. Sometimes the spiritual world speaks in a different language altogether, one that requires us to become interpreters of symbols and feelings. The spiritual world doesn't always communicate the way we communicate in our daily lives. They don't always sit us down for a straightforward conversation over coffee. More often than not, spirits speak through symbols, metaphors, and feelings that bypass our logical brain and go straight to our intuitive heart. Your deceased father might not appear and directly say, "Be careful with that business deal." Instead, he might show you a bridge with a broken plank, or hand you a flower that wilts in your hands, or simply look at you with an expression of concern that speaks louder than any words could. These symbolic communications aren't meant to confuse you. They're actually a more efficient way to transmit complex spiritual information that our limited human vocabulary can't fully capture. The key is learning to feel the message rather than just think about it, to trust your first emotional reaction to the symbol rather than overthinking it into meaninglessness. Understanding these spiritual symbols requires a combination of personal context and universal meanings. Water often represents emotions and spiritual cleansing. Light symbolizes divine guidance and protection, Doors and pathways indicate life choices and transitions. But the most important dictionary for decoding your spiritual dreams is your own heart and your unique relationship with the person visiting you. If your grandmother always baked apple pie when you were sad, and she appears in your dream offering you a steaming slice, she's probably trying to comfort you about something happening in your current life. The spirits who love us know our personal language, our private jokes, our shared memories, and they use these intimate details to make sure their messages get through the noise of our busy minds. But beyond warnings and guidance, some of the most powerful spiritual dreams serve an even deeper purpose, one that can literally heal wounds that have festered for years and set both the living and the dead free from invisible chains. Some of the most transformative spiritual dreams are the ones that arrive carrying the sacred gift of reconciliation. Imagine carrying guilt for years because the last conversation you had with your father was an argument, and you never got the chance to say you're sorry before he passed away. That weight becomes a prison, a constant ache that colors everything in your life with shades of regret. Then one night, he appears in your dream, not angry, not resentful, but smiling with understanding and forgiveness radiating from his eyes. He might embrace you, tell you he knows you didn't mean those words, or simply look at you with such pure love that all the guilt melts away like ice under the sun. These dreams of reconciliation aren't just comforting fantasies your mind creates to make you feel better. They're genuine spiritual interventions designed to free both souls from the chains of unresolved pain. The healing power of these encounters extends in both directions across the veil between worlds. Sometimes it's the departed loved one who needs forgiveness, who carries their own regrets about how they treated you when they were alive. A mother who was too critical might appear with tears in her eyes, finally able to express the love she couldn't show in life. An estranged sibling might reach out in the dream realm to mend the broken bond that death made permanent in the physical world. When these reconciliations happen, something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere around both people. Forgiveness releases trapped energy, allowing both the living and the dead to move forward on their respective journeys. Chico Xavier always taught that forgiveness is one of the greatest gifts we can offer, not just to others, but to ourselves, because holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. But what about those dreams where our loved ones appear simply to be present, offering nothing but their peaceful company? What is the spiritual world trying to tell us through these serene visitations? Here's something that needs to be said clearly because Hollywood and horror movies have completely twisted people's understanding of the spiritual world. Truly elevated spirits, those who vibrate with love and light, never come to frighten you. They don't slam doors, flicker lights, or appear as terrifying shadows in the corner of your room at 3 in the morning. That's not how love operates, and that's not how divine mercy works. When a spiritually advanced being, whether it's your grandmother, a guardian angel, or a spirit guide, visits you in dreams, they bring an unmistakable energy of peace, protection, and serenity. You might feel awe, you might feel overwhelmed with emotion, but you won't feel fear. Their presence is like being wrapped in the warmest blanket on the coldest night, like coming home after years of wandering lost. They communicate safety, they radiate compassion, and they leave you feeling more whole than you did before they arrived. This loving presence serves a purpose beyond the immediate comfort of the encounter. It reminds us of a fundamental spiritual truth that we often forget in the chaos of daily life. We are never alone. Even when physical distance or death separates us from those we love, we remain connected through invisible threads of affection that nothing in this universe can sever. Your loved ones in the spiritual realm aren't distant, unreachable beings living on some faraway cloud. They're close, aware, and actively participating in your life from their side of existence. They celebrate your victories. They worry during your struggles, and they send waves of encouragement when you're about to give up. These elevated spirits act as invisible guardians, gently steering us away from dangers, whispering inspiration during moments of creativity, and holding space for us during our darkest hours. But all of this, the dreams, the signs, the constant support, points to one ultimate truth that changes everything we think we know about death. Death is perhaps the greatest illusion humanity has ever believed in. We treat it like a final chapter, an ending that erases relationships and severs connections forever. But that's not even remotely close to the truth. Love, real, genuine, soul-deep love, doesn't recognize the boundaries between life and death. It doesn't care about physical bodies or material dimensions. Love is the fundamental force of the universe, the energy that existed before creation and will exist after everything else fades away. When you truly love someone, you create an eternal bond that transcends every limitation the physical world tries to impose. Death can take away someone's body, their voice, their physical presence, but it has absolutely no power over the love that connects two souls. That bond remains intact, vibrant, and active, continuing to nourish both spirits regardless of which side of the veil they currently inhabit. This is why spiritual dreams and prayer are so incredibly powerful. They're not desperate attempts to hold onto something that's gone. They're natural expressions of a connection that never left in the first place. When you pray for your loved ones who have passed, you're not shouting into an empty void hoping someone might hear. You're actively sending light, strength, and love directly to them through the unbreakable channel that links your hearts. When they visit you in dreams, they're not defying cosmic laws or breaking through impossible barriers. They're simply using the bridge that love already built between you. Chico Xavier spent his entire life proving this truth, bringing countless messages from a spiritual world that all echoed the same essential theme. Love is eternal, separation is temporary, and the bonds we forge with genuine affection will carry us through every dimension of existence. So the next time you dream about someone you've lost, don't dismiss it as mere wishful thinking or random brain activity. Recognize it for what it truly is, a sacred reunion, a moment of grace, a reminder that love is the one force in this universe that death can never, ever touch. So here's what I want you to do tonight, starting right now, before you go to sleep. Take just 5 minutes to sit quietly, clear your mind, and pray with genuine intention. It doesn't have to be fancy or religious. Just speak from your heart. Express gratitude for the day, and invite your loved ones to visit you if it's divinely permitted. Ask for protection, ask for clarity, and most importantly, go to bed with love in your heart instead of worry in your mind. This simple practice can transform your spiritual experiences in ways you can't even imagine yet. Pay attention to your dreams over the next few weeks. Write them down immediately when you wake up before the details fade, and notice the patterns, the symbols, the feelings that linger long after you open your eyes. You have the ability to strengthen this connection. It's not reserved for mediums or specially gifted people. It's your birthright as a spiritual being having a human experience. Now I want to hear from you, because your story matters and it might help someone else recognize their own spiritual encounters. Have you ever dreamed about someone who passed away and woke up absolutely certain it was more than just a dream? What happened in that dream that made it feel so real? Drop your experience in the comments below. Don't hold back, because sharing these stories creates a community of people who understand that love truly is eternal. If this video opened your eyes to a truth you've always felt but never had words for, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss content that feeds your soul. Share this video with someone who recently lost a loved one. It might be exactly what they need to hear today. Remember this: death is not the end. It's just a doorway, and love is the key that opens it from both sides. Your loved ones are closer than you think, watching over you, waiting for those sacred moments when your soul breaks free during sleep to remind you that you were never, ever alone.